Guys, we're out here in the garage today and we're doing a arrow build. So I wanted to go ahead and take these Sanlida Dragon 10 arrows and build a all-around hunting arrow. Also an arrow I can shoot at targets. Nothing that's specific to like big game, like elk, moose, things like that. But we're gonna be probably using these on some caribou. So that's probably the target animal that we're gonna build these for. We're shooting for around 400 grains total. And we're just gonna be using a 100 grain broadhead on this. So pretty much a standard build for an arrow. Later on, we're gonna be building up an arrow for more of a moose hunting type arrow. Probably pack a little bit more of a punch, probably get up to around 550 for the grains. But for this, we're just taking our Dragon 10 Sanlida arrows, which if you've never checked these out, very good arrow. I mean, for $100, you can buy 24 of these. Comes in a pack of 24, has the blazer veins already on it. We're gonna be changing out the red vein and we're gonna be putting a high-vis green vein on there because I just like the green color and that's the color accents I run on my bow. But we're gonna be swapping out the vein. So if you order a set of these Sanlida Dragon arrows, it's kind of hit and miss. You may get the ones that have this nail knock or pin knock. What you can do, you can actually cut this down so you can see where the fletchings are. If you cut that down, I've already done it to one of them. It cuts it off right below that knock, and then you can just put a new knock in. Because what we're gonna be doing anyway is replacing the nocks that come on these anyway. They're just a little under quality for what we're looking for. I've had a couple of these break. So overall, very solid arrow from Sanlida. And I'm not here just pushing Sanlida. I mean, there's a lot of Chinese made arrows out there, but these are just a solid arrow option. I mean, 24 ton, 100% carbon. Let's see the straightness. Yeah, you can see the straightness right there. Very tight tolerance on this arrow. And you can get them in all kinds of different spines. I'm running these in a 300 spine, which is pretty good for a 70-pound bow. But that's what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be building on these, putting some higher quality components on it. We're gonna be putting some brass inserts into the tip. I think they're around 50 grains. And then that's gonna set us up to run a 100 grain broadhead on this. So that's the intentions. We're gonna get down to building this. We're gonna go ahead and cut about a dozen of these to length. And then we're gonna go ahead and replace the veins and then start installing the other accessories. All right, we're over at our saw. We're gonna go ahead and cut these down to size. We're gonna do 10 arrows total. And then we're just gonna go ahead and cut these to length. I have pretty much a scale to where I like to cut my arrows right here. So I match these up where I like to get them cut. And then I just mark them. All right, we're gonna go ahead and cut these to size. I just have a little paper towel back here to kind of knock this dust down. You also don't want to be breathing in this carbon, so I would strongly suggest wearing a mask. All right, so it doesn't always make a perfect cut, especially if you're using a saw like this, but we're gonna go ahead and take our square right here. This is gonna square off the end. You can see it's gonna get it down to where it's perfectly square. Nice little cut. We're gonna go ahead and clean that up with some alcohol. It creates a really nice edge. camera isn't focusing. But just a super smooth arrow. So the biggest key to sawing is just making sure that you're not splitting the grains in the carbon. Other than that, you can just hack it off as long as it's not splitting the carbon, and then use your little tool right here to square everything off. It's gonna save you a lot of time. All right, the next step in this process, we're gonna take a Q-tip with some alcohol, and we're gonna be cleaning out the inside of these arrows. And you can tell there's a lot of carbon dust that's down in there. And we want to get that out just so the glue, when we glue our inserts in, sticks to the inside right here and it's not just sticking to that dust. So you can tell with just one, it's the first one I cleaned with this, and you can see how dirty that is. All right, we're just going to take our time and do this to all of them. All right, we got all of our arrow tips cleaned up with some alcohol. We're gonna let that dry for a little bit. While we're doing this, we're gonna go ahead and replace the red fletching. We're gonna be adding some of these. Still, we're sticking with the blazer veins. We're just adding some green blazer veins to it. So we're just customizing these to kind of how I like my color scheme to be. All right, we got our fletching removal tool. We'll go ahead and start just peeling these off. I know somebody's gonna say, why ruin perfectly good set of fletchings? And you know, it's because I can. It's because I want to. All right, super smooth. We're gonna do that to all of them. All right, we're not going to be using a fletching jig for this. We're just going to be doing this by freehand. Take this fletching glue and just put that up the fletching here. And it doesn't have to be a lot. I'm just kind of making sure it's smooth across there. All right, and I'm just pushing down just slightly. Some people also might criticize that not using a fletching jig, you might not receive good results on this, but guys, I've been doing this a long time, freehanding it, and I've never had any issues. So until I do, I'm gonna keep doing this. Main thing here is just making sure the glue is even. There's no air bubbles and stuff across here, because that can cause issues. There's another one down. We're gonna keep doing this to all of them. All right, we got them all fletched. So now we got the more difficult part out of the way. If you've never done it before, it's still really easy to do, refletching these arrows. But now we're just gonna insert the new nocks, and we went with a little bit better of a nock. We just went with some gold tip premium nocks. So nothing crazy, but these are gonna be a little bit more durable than what Sanlida sends you. We did partner with Sanlida a while back, and that's why we have all these arrows. So I didn't wanna just, let them waste. So that's why we decided to do the arrow build. But I was a huge advocate for getting the pin nocks switched over to these regular nocks right here. So they did that, they did listen to me, but it's just not a high quality nock. I've had a couple of them break. They're just not as premium as what I would like to see, so that's why we're switching these out. So we're gonna do that next. All right, we're just gonna go through and remove these old arrow nocks. We're still gonna save these. We probably just put them in our bow case just in case we break a couple out on the range. We'll have some backups. This is what the new ones look like. All right, we got all these nocks removed. We go ahead and start inserting these. All right, if I get a little tough right there, I just have this arrow shaft we cut off. We're just putting a little pressure on it right there. That's not gonna break our nocks or anything. We're just putting pressure right on that center. All right, we got all the new nocks installed. These are looking good now. So now we're getting into the fun part. This is where we're gonna be measuring things out here on the scale. And remember at the beginning of the video, I said I wanted to get as close as possible to 400 grains. And I just feel like 400 grains is gonna give us a good mix for anything from whitetail, probably up to about caribou. I mean, heck, you could go moose hunting with it too, probably some bear hunting. Huge debate out there on what the right grain is. And honestly, I've messed around with these. Before moving to Alaska, I was trying to build some arrows for hunting bears and moose. And I was trying to shoot upwards of like 600 grain arrows. And guys, the arch on those things, yeah, it's gonna pack a big punch when it hits. But it's just so heavy that the arch is just so drastic. And it's kind of hard to even, I guess if you're shooting at a long distance, it's hard to stay consistent with that. Whereas if you shoot a little bit lighter of an arrow, your pins are going to be a little bit closer together if you're using multi-pins. For us, we're using a one-pin sight, but it's just less amount of adjustments you have to make if your arrows are shooting flatter. So this is going to give us, in my opinion, that mix to stay pretty flat with our trajectory, but also still pack a little bit of a punch. But honestly, at the end of the day, we're letting those broadheads do the magic, and we can just hope that the bow's putting out enough kinetic energy to put this down range and ethically kill that animal. But not to say we're not going to build some heavier arrows in the future, but this is a good mix, guys, for just shooting targets, staying consistent, and then also using it as a hunting arrow. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn our scale on. I just want to see where we're at. Okay, so 247.8 for the arrow shaft alone. We're going to go ahead and throw a 100 grain field point up there. That gets us to 348. You see that, 348. And then a 50 grain insert, 398.2. That's about as close as you can get to 400 grains without actually being on 400 grains. Let's test another arrow, see where we're at. $397.4. It's pretty close. 400 on the money. Well, I mean, we got pretty close with it. 398. 399. All right, you get the picture. We're pretty close. I'm not worried about being exactly right on with every single one of them. Yeah, we could probably go over and maybe fine tune the length and everything of these and get them all the same. If I was into competitive archery, yeah, I would probably do that, but I'm not, and this is going to be close enough that we're not even going to be able to tell a difference. So right now we're gonna go ahead and get these inserts glued in. These are just brass inserts I got off Amazon, nothing fancy. And I'll place the link to all of this equipment in the description box. If you want to check out these Sanlida Dragon 10 arrows, then go for it. I'll place the link in the description box for that. These are just the field points that came with the Dragon arrows. Already come with an O-ring that's going to keep it on there without rattling. Very nice, budget-friendly setup here. So you pretty much get everything with the Dragon arrows. All right, we're just going to take our glue. And what I like to do is just kind of angle the arrow just a little bit so that glue's gonna go down that arrow shaft, and then I just spin it around. I like to put a good amount down in there. We're gonna take our insert. I like to spin this as I put it in. All right, there we go. Seated nicely. And we're just going to repeat all of this with the remainder. All 1 dozen. I was only going to do 10, but I decided just to do the entire dozen. Wipe a little bit of the excess off on that one. Goes in the drying jig. All right, we have the finished product. We've went ahead, let these things dry. We inserted just the regular fill points. Get that brass insert. Dragon 10 arrows. Blazer vein replacement right there, and then we have the gold tip nocks. So not a bad little budget friendly arrow right here. A little bit more of an FOC. We got a little bit more weight in the tip. So very good balanced arrow. So we checked them before we glued them and everything. Obviously the glue's gonna add a few more grains, but let's go ahead, put these on the scale and see what we come up with. All right, we got it zeroed out. At 402, could be pretty close with most of these. Now the goal, if you remember, was 400. That's 400 and that's 400.6. I want to test just about all of these just to make sure we're tracking. 398.8. 400.4, 404.6, 4. All right, so some of them are off just a little bit, but not too much. 401.8, 404.2, last one here, 401. All right, so I went ahead. This is going to be what I'm going to be shooting with this for the most part. These are just the G5 Montex. So really good fixed blade broadhead. Just very rigid steel. Very easy to sharpen too. And these things are just tried and true. Let's go ahead and test it with that one. 401 on the money. So we hit the goal of getting as close as possible to 400 grains. And I really did no math ahead of time. We just kind of cut these to what I normally shoot them at and then added our accessories, and it just happened to be around 400. You know, ideally, I probably would go up to like 440 or something like that. We could go up in size with the grains on the brass insert, but just to keep things simple and so we can still have fun during the summertime shooting targets at longer distances, I figured 400 grains was probably a good happy medium to still have fun and also use it as a functional arrow in the field for hunts. So guys, if you like this arrow build, definitely like and subscribe. Check out more videos we're gonna be posting. Obviously up here in Alaska, it is like in the negatives right now. So we're gonna wait till springtime, summertime to do a lot more archery stuff. But definitely stay tuned for more archery stuff. We're going to be doing some hunts as well. And whether that's small game or going out for caribou or moose, we're going to try to get involved with a lot of that this year. But we have a lot happening on the channel, from quads, ATVs, dirt bikes, that kind of stuff. Just doing a lot of different things out here in the Alaskan wilderness. So check those out as well. Guys, thanks for watching this video.